3 years after the divorce, Adam's life had settled into quiet routines. He lived alone in a small apartment, working late to fill the silence. His ex-wife, Clara, had become a memory he tried not to touch. They hadn't spoken in almost 2 years, not since the final argument where everything shattered. So when his phone rang at 2 a.m., displaying an unknown number, he almost ignored it. But something in his bones told him to answer. His voice cracked with sleep as he picked up, expecting a wrong number. Instead, a trembling nurse spoke. "Mr. Hayes, we found your number listed as her emergency contact. Clara Hayes is in surgery, complications. You're her last hope." Adam froze. His heart hammered like someone shook him awake from the inside. "Emergency contact? No, I'm not. We're divorced," he whispered, but the nurse cut in. "Sir, she named you. That's all we know. We need consent if things go wrong." The world tilted. Memories rushed in. Wedding vows, hospital hallways when they lost their baby, therapy sessions that failed to stitch their wounds. All the reasons they broke. He grabbed his coat with shaking hands. Keys fell, clattering, echoing like accusations. He ran to his car, breath sharp, praying to a God he hadn't spoken to since the divorce. The drive blurred under streetlights like ghosts. At the hospital, fluorescent lights burned his eyes. The smell of antiseptic dragged him back to a life he buried. A doctor approached, stern but tired. She collapsed. "Internal bleeding. We're trying, but her chart says you make medical decisions if needed." Adam's knees weakened. "Why me?" The doctor shrugged. "Sometimes, the heart remembers what logic forgets." He signed forms with trembling hands, each stroke feeling like reopening scars. He sat in the waiting room, surrounded by strangers with tragedies in their laps. He stared at the floor tiles, tracing invisible cracks, wondering if this was fate or punishment, or maybe a second chance disguised as a crisis. Time became a cruel thing. Every minute felt like a mile. Adam replayed their marriage like a broken film reel. Clara's laugh that once healed him. The nights they held each other after grief tore them apart. The silence that swallowed them. The day she left with tears and apologies he refused to hear. Back then, anger was easier than forgiveness. Now, fear drowned everything. What if she died thinking he hated her? What if he never got to say sorry? He pressed his palms to his face, whispering words he wished he said years ago. "I never stopped caring, I just didn't know how to stay." Hours passed before a nurse led him to her room. Clara lay pale, tubes and wires like battles she was fighting silently. Machines hummed life for her. Adam's breath hitched. He moved closer, each step heavy with regret. Her eyelids fluttered. "Adam," she rasped, voice like ash. Tears flooded his vision. "I'm here." She smiled weakly, as if that alone kept her alive. I didn't know who else to put. You were always the one who showed up, even when you didn't know how." His heart cracked open. "I'm sorry for all the ways I failed you," he whispered. She squeezed his hand. "We both failed. But we also tried." Doctors warned of a risky second surgery. She needed consent. Adam struggled, mind and heart battling. Fear whispered, "Walk away, it's not your responsibility." Love whispered louder, "She's always been yours." He chose the voice that hurt more. He signed. As they wheeled her away, she stopped him. "If I don't make it, promise me you'll forgive yourself." He choked. "Don't talk like that. You're coming back. I'm not losing you again." She smiled, tired but sure. Sometimes losing is how we learn to hold things right. Then she was gone, swallowed by the surgery doors, leaving Adam with ghosts and hope colliding inside him. Alone again, he wandered outside. Rain fell like the sky was grieving with him. He looked up, letting it wash away everything, anger, blame, the version of himself he hated. He remembered how Clara used to say storms cleanse more than sunshine ever could. He whispered into the rain, "If you come back, I'll be better. Not perfect, but better. The man you deserved." He realized healing isn't a destination, it's choosing to try again. Even if it hurts. Especially if it hurts. His phone buzzed. "The doctor. We're ready to update you." He rushed back inside. The doctor hesitated, long enough to terrify him. Then, "She made it. She's not out of danger, but she's fighting." Relief knocked him breathless. His knees buckled, tears spilling. Thank God. He whispered, a prayer, confession, and gratitude all at once. He sat beside her again, holding her hand like a promise. Hours later, she woke. You stayed, she whispered. Adam laughed, broken and whole. I never should have left. They talked. Not like lovers resurrecting a romance, but like two survivors rebuilding something gentler, understanding. In the days that followed, Adam never left the hospital. He learned her medication schedule, memorized the nurse rotations, even helped her sit up when the pain got sharp. They talked. Really talked, for the first time in years. Not about blame, but about wounds. How grief had made them strangers. How silence became their language when neither knew how to ask for help. Clara confessed she'd almost reached out 100 times before but feared reopening old scars. Adam admitted he built walls so high he couldn't see her reaching. The past lay between them like broken glass, but for once, they didn't step around it. They looked at it, acknowledged it, and let the shards reflect how far they had come. One evening, Clara asked the question they both feared. Why did you pick up the phone that night? Adam stared at the window, city lights flickering like restless stars. Because a part of me never stopped believing I was still responsible for something I broke, he said quietly. She frowned, not hurt, just thoughtful. You weren't responsible alone. I shattered too. They held that truth carefully, like something fragile. He didn't promise her forever. She didn't promise forgiveness. They just promised honesty. It was the first promise they'd made in years without breaking. Her recovery slowly progressed. She walked short distances, laughed in short bursts, slept for longer stretches. Every step forward felt like a victory neither expected. Nurses teased Adam, calling him the husband who never left, and he didn't correct them. Clara noticed. One morning, she looked at him and whispered, "Do you regret us?" He shook his head instantly. "I regret who pain made me. But not you." Tears filled her eyes, not from sorrow, but from the relief of being seen. Truly seen. Maybe for the first time since their vows. The air around them softened, like the world exhaled. On discharge day, Clara hesitated at the door. The hospital had been painful, but it also felt safe, a cocoon where second chances lived. Outside, reality waited with choices. Adam stood beside her, unsure if he should offer his hand. She solved it for both of them by placing her fingers in his, light as a question. "Walk me out," she asked. He nodded. They moved slowly down the hallway, steps sinking like muscle memory. At the entrance, she released him. "I need to learn to live again. Not just survive." He nodded. "I need to learn how not to fix everything. Just be there." They shared a taxi. The city moved around them like a heartbeat. No conversation, no pressure, just presence. When they reached her apartment, Clara lingered. "Would you like to come in?" she asked, not as an invitation to resume what was, but to explore what could be. Adam considered. His heart begged yes. His mind whispered caution. He smiled, bittersweet. "Not today, but soon. If you want." She nodded, eyes shining. Soon. The word felt like a bridge built from the ruins. Not a guarantee, a possibility. Weeks passed. They met for coffee. Then walks in the park. Then long talks that lasted until the moon got tired. They laughed about old memories and mourned the ones they never made. Sometimes they argued, gently, carefully, like people learning to hold fire without burning. Each moment was a step, not toward a destination, but toward understanding. They didn't call it love. They didn't call it reunion. They called it healing, the kind that doesn't demand an ending to prove it mattered. One night, Adam stood outside Clara's building with a bouquet, not as an apology or promise, but as a gesture of choice. He raised his hand to knock, paused, and lowered it. The door opened anyway. Clara stood there, surprised, smiling. No soundtrack swelled. No destiny declared itself. Just two people, trying again. "Hi," she said. Adam exhaled, like letting go and beginning again at the same time. Hi. Maybe this was their second chance. Maybe it wasn't. But for the first time, that uncertainty felt like hope instead of fear. And hope, Adam realized, was enough.